7:01. So we'll get the ball rolling here. Thank you all for joining us. There's Toby. Thank you, Toby, for joining us.
So Matt, I'd say you can start anytime.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Matt, we are now connected with AOC Community Media for our broadcast this evening. Nice. So, well, let's say hey and a thank you, a big thank you, and a shout out to AOC for all their help in promoting us. So, and you all know me, but if you don't, my name is Bruce, and we're excited that we've been doing this for Martha. You said a year now.
A year.
Last, yeah. This is our 1 year anniversary of doing Pieces of Hope virtual open mic. And it's just been fantastic because now we can have people from all over the world participate in our lovely monthly open mic festival, where we celebrate the literary world through poetry, through slam poetry, through prose, through song, through storytelling, through joke telling. Every aspect you can think of in the literary world has been expressed here on Pieces of Hope. So thank you for joining us tonight, and for those who are performing, we thank you as well. Just a couple of little business items before we take off. So when the performers are performing, make sure that you self-mute. We do have people on board that are also working at making sure that everybody's muted. There's Tyler Robert Sheldon. Hey, Tyler. So make sure that you're mute, you self-mute, or that you're muted during the performance, so we don't hear dishes washing or lawnmowers or dogs barking. Parrots squawking is okay. Parrot squawking is okay. But other than that, we don't want to hear anything else in your background. And we would greatly appreciate it if you remember to mute yourself during the performance. Also, there's, by now down at the bottom, you can go to our chat room, and in there will be the artist bios put up by either Patrice or Martha, which we really appreciate, and all the kind of information that you need to know about Festival Words. But most of you should know that you can go to festivalwords.org to find out all the information about our upcoming festival, who's going to be, who are our featured authors this year, and when we get further into the broadcast, I'll let you know about that. So make sure to participate by going to the chat room. If you really, really, truly love what you're hearing, what you will, just write something about it. Write how you feel, how it's making you feel. That's what we need to know. So that's where all the information will be, is in the chat room. And make sure that you go to festivalwords.org to look at our beautiful website. And if you feel inclined to, there's a donate button at the top of the screen. You can very nicely donate to us. All right, we're going to start off this evening, as we always do, with Pieces of Hope with James McDowell. Take it away, James.
Thank you, Bruce. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to Pieces of Hope. Thanks to Festival of Words. I'm going to read two poems for you tonight. They're both from my new collection, The Mystery Still Drives Us, published by Wayfarer Books. And this first poem is called Meet You There. There is a stitch. Golden threads dance through the fabric. Loops and knots close so many open wounds. Much of the healing is done elsewhere, not just there. There is a snitch, one who betrays your darkest secret. Despite all your precautions and security, the imprisoned soul finds a way out of there. There is a twitch, the smallest of impairments, in the eye, in the little finger, ciphers that the demise of the ego has begun there. There is a switch, a shift, when you can no longer use the world's tragedies to prove that you're right. You embrace compassion and love your enemy. Are you there? There is a glitch, code hacked long ago, bits and bytes copied and pirated. On to the reboot, the restore, the upgrade, and the patch. The work never seems to be done there. There is a witch, beautiful in her obscure obsessions. She once told you, James K., the future is a strange and wonderful place. We will meet you there. Thank you. Now I'm going to read another poem called Everything. What is there to tell? Seeing through the veils to the other world, indescribable, best forgotten. I confess to you, I do not know everything. These fragile realities separated by seemingly impenetrable membranes of multiplicity. How do you describe everything? Friends and acquaintances and unmentionables strolling the streets of London in one night to touch, to sight, to sample, to scratch everything. Seance. The ghost seated next to my left has a message for you. Take off your mask. Eternal recurrence, and yet again, everything repeats. Everything. So many unfinished things calling to us. Turmoil in the imagination, and the heart bleeds. Even the poet cannot capture everything. James K., you once told the she-wolf that you were learning to burn differently. In fairy light, you will be faced with a new darkness in everything. Thank you.
Thank you, James. That was wonderful, as always. And James always opens up with some beautiful words. Thank you so much, James. Really appreciate it. A couple of things I want to mention before we move on is that we are, Jory has hooked us up to a Facebook Live. So if you want to go to Facebook and participate in the program that way, please do. Also, AOC is streaming us live as well this evening. So
there you go. That's you. Okay, move to.
So again, during the break, when I'm speaking or when the performer is speaking, you want to make sure that you're muted. If you come in, make sure that you're muted. If you come in, whenever you come in to participate, we love to have people just come in and participate in watching the performances or performing as well. So we're going to move on. Next up is my good friend, Claire. It's so great to see you. It's so great to see you, Claire. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I know that you've been trying for the last couple of months to be a part of our open mic, and now you're here. So please take it away, Claire.
Thank you. I'm going to do a little bit of a retro by going backwards to some of my earlier work. So from Eating the Heart First, I'm going to read the title poem. Eating the heart first. Her body bristles. She hears the plucked string, the whoosh of arrow. When she is spelled, you must eat the heart first. It is a hellish flower. Cut it out whole. Its pulse fills your hand. She will talk in your skin. Her fear will mingle with your own. Cold, you sleep. Your dreams flood with moons. Wolves hunt the night of your mind, keep you running. And from Seek the Holy Dark, this is the raw heart. Saturated, blistered, hard and foul, can keep us living, though not for an eternity. Self-solace, a lace of fat, discordant beats fan the veins. A simple resolution to a complex problem. Dig deep in the dirt, the dirge of blood song murmurs, stillness to absolution. And this is the closing piece in Crone. And it's in the voice of the crone. I've been circling for thousands of years. My skirts skim mountaintops. Trees scrape my legs, bone branch raw. At times clouds part. Sometimes they do not. I favor thunderstorms, the eerie kindness of hurricanes, wrought with calm centers, the wind, and electric forces. I've been circling for thousands of years, planting seeds of conception. I've been waiting for God to show a mighty hand. I am an old woman, pregnant with ephemeral dust. This is proof enough for me. And the first line of that is a line by Rainier Maria Reiki. I can hardly pronounce his last name, Reiki. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. You look fantastic. Your words are beautiful. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight.
Well, Bruce, do you have a guest room? You've been so kind. I'm thinking I should come over.
Yes, we can make do. So anybody who wants to come to Georgia, come on in. Thank you again, Claire. Really beautiful words from a beautiful artist. We appreciate it. Okay, up next, Cheryl. Cheryl, you're with us, so.
Yes, I'm here, yeah.
Whenever you're ready, please. And then I just want to, again, highlight the fact that when our performers perform, make sure that you self-mute, or somebody will mute you. So we just hear the performance. That's what we're here for. So Cheryl, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Martha, for inviting me, and thanks, everybody, for accepting me into this community. I wish I had been involved earlier. So I'm going to read one poem. It's a multi-part poem. And I've been thinking a lot about people who are early in recovery, because it's been a hard time for them. I have 12 years sober, but I posted this poem that I'm going to read on Facebook yesterday. I haven't published it yet. And a friend that I hadn't seen in a long time texted me to tell me she was 2 days sober. And so I'm going to read this poem for her. It's called In Recovery, a Suite. 1. We used to think there were no words that could reach us, unknot us from the cage of our lives, only the music of substances, the pulsing, breathless of what we had become. Now, something in us has paused. We're commas, dashes, even after 20 years or more, still inside a prepositional phrase, always in remission, always praying for grace. We will never arrive at past tense. 2. And anyway, it's the wrong word for what we are. We're not recovered, we're revealed. 3. What else we are? Broken things, shells, wrecked against an apathetic shore, until the inner whorls of our lives crack, revealing our most intimate architecture. We are sea glass, bottles shattered, abandoned, lips worn to a dull shine. We hope someone will scavenge for us, see beauty in how damage has shaped us. We are cracks in ancient walls where small flowers have rooted. We are loose tiles in the floor of an old building that sing when you walk over them. We are gnarly knots in trunks where once were branches. We are crevasses in the glacier of a ravaged heart. We are invitations. Here is the very place to enter us. 4. Still, there are days you grit through wishing for that one thing that would allow you to not be here now. Days when you are surprised to have woken at all. 5. You work on a scarf, knitting and unknitting, starting again so many times you feel like Penelope. You write one small new thing, clean one small room. 6. We are Buddhists and gardeners, yoga instructors and hairdressers, teachers and real estate brokers. We are writers, painters, musicians, bartenders, waitresses, comics. Some of us are still funny. Some of us are still sad. Some of us get our kids back. Some of us do not. Sometimes someone we knew in that other life dies, a lover or a son or a dear friend, and some of us relapse and some of us do not. Some of us travel as far away as we can to Alaska or Indonesia. Some of us stay home, going to meetings and mentoring other lost ones. At night, sometimes we close our eyes, remembering the best and worst of it, the ecstasy and the blood, the taste of dying. We are not happy, exactly. Nothing, as someone once wrote, as simple as that. When the dawn calls roll, our bodies respond, present, and we often wake grateful for breath in ways we never were in that other life, believing again in the journey. Thanks.
And that's just beautiful. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for opening up your heart. I know it must have been difficult, but unbelievable words. Really beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Okay, before we move on, and thank you again, Cheryl, for being a part of us tonight. Before we move on, I just want to say that in the chat room, again, there'll be bios for everybody. Also, information, not just about the artists, but again, you can go there and put in however you're feeling from the words that you're hearing tonight. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, we just appreciate you being here. So we're going to move on. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention we are for Facebook Live again for those who are just joining us. We're Facebook Live. We're also streaming live on AOC Community Media. So, and this is the first time that they've joined with us, so that's fantastic. So we're going to move on to Bruce. You ready, Bruce? You got your guitar in hand? All right, well, Bruce Snow is going to play a few tunes for us. Whenever you're ready, Bruce.
All right, I'm going to do a couple of calypso tunes. I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember Harry Belafonte, but he was a wonderful, a few of us, wonderful performer. And first one is called Jamaican Farewell. Okay, and then the next one is called the Banana Boat Song, also called Deo.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you so much. I was singing to that song, but apparently my mic was not muted. I've been telling everybody to be muted, and I wasn't.
Yeah, I was about to mute you myself, Bruce.
So if I was singing Deo and it like pierced your ears, I'm sorry about that.
Dog howling.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bruce, for those beautiful renditions. We appreciate it very much, as every month.
My pleasure.
Come and grace us with your guitar work. The one thing I did want to mention before we move on is the list of scheduled artists. If you look in the chat room, you'll see the next 5 or 6 artists who are coming up. So for those who are performing tonight, if you want to look in the chat room and know where your place is, that would be fantastic. So you'll be ready when I call on you. Okay, so up next is my good buddy from the last time we were live, Professor Words, I believe. Tyler Robert Shelton was one of our featured authors. Tyler, you with us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we absolutely can. So whenever you're ready, Tyler, take it away.
Okay, it's so good to see you guys. It's been so long. I'm going to read a few poems from my upcoming poetry collection called When to Ask for Rain, that's coming out early summer with Spartan Press. This one's called Too Late to Save, and it centers on a float trip on the Arkansas River. A water bottle floats toward us on the river, slips past the bow of our boat. We paddle back and hear splashing, the prow of the spare boat sinking, full of our gear, Dan treading water, hanging one-handed to his own canoe. As we right the listing boat, gather coolers and tackle, Dan cries out too late as a whiskey fifth slips beneath the surface. This next one's called Words at Evening. It's a short one. Owl hides in shore trees, coaxing us toward the dock, a mile or further down our eddying river, part of the hastening night. Bruce likes the headphones, he says. I appreciate that. Just a couple more. This is called Night on the Sandbar, same short sequence of boating poems. We row all day, then beach the canoes on a gravel bar far down the river. Dan's been hard rowing for hours through tree falls and tall weeds, lashed to the gear boat with sleep bags, our grub, and the camp stove. Gear saved from sinking by Dan's midday scramble. The big boat unbalanced, turned over, slowly righted. Now he falls asleep, almost in the fire we lead him to, light coaxed to life on the edge of the bar. James, his hands over the flames, talks of how he'll wake us to bacon sizzled and crispy, how morning will be here too soon. Later, James and I each take one of Dan's shoulders, rock him away from the fire and onto his feet. Dan, who saved all but his stamina from a capsized canoe, collapses to sleeping bag out. Later, in gray pre-dawn static, a rumble of snoring, the hum of dark water, the sizzle of tentative stars. The last one I'll read, and this is all true, by the way. The last one I'll read is called Enchiladas After Striking the Camp. You hoist open the door to a restaurant, the three of you fresh from 2 days on the river, burned red as bobbers from the reflected afternoon sun. Dirt coats everything, socks to eyebrows. The canoe will need to be scrubbed. You will all need to be scrubbed. You will wait too long and resign yourself to scraping mud from your shoes from the river, and slowly, but it will be a meditation like the hush, hush, hush of paddles through the river, which even now continues its long walk. You don't look up when the server leads you to a table where you order enchiladas and go off to wash your hands. This takes too long so that the chips are cold when you return. You don't speak when the food comes, just fork bite after bite like you've never eaten in your life and like you just discovered the need. Chairs scrape the floor a table away. An old man laughs at some joke like the bright wind whistle of trees. Your friends pass the chip basket, and the lights in the restaurant are warm as mid-afternoon sun. You are back in the world, and all of the world is pleased. Thank you. And if you'd like a copy of the book, let me know and I can help.
And that'd be great. Patrice might have a link to that, or if you have a link to that, put it in the chat room, please. And that's a good point, Tyler, really. And wonderful, wonderful words. Beautiful. Very nice work. Love your writing, man. Really beautiful stuff. And that goes for anybody who's performing this evening. If you have a website, if you have a publication, if you've published, please put the links. If Patrice doesn't have access to it, please put the links in the chat room so we can all participate in more of your wonderful words. Thank you again, Tyler. Really appreciate it. Up next is somebody new to our Pieces of Hope, Nikki Broussard. Nikki, are you with us? I looked for her and I couldn't find her earlier. I saw something that said iPad, so I'm not really sure if that's Nikki or not. Nikki, are you with us?
She may not be here yet. She said she had a newspaper interview at 6:30.
Okay.
So I think we'll just go on and see.
Okay. All right. So let's just put a question mark next to her and we'll try to work her in later. So now I have always the unbelievable honor of introducing my wonderful buddy for so many years, Patrice. Tracy, you're up.
Okay, I was managing the chat window too. Anyway, hi everybody. Sorry, I haven't been home from work for long. So I'm going to read a poem called Rainwater. Is it raining, Mother asks, the fresh desert air cooling the room at dusk. Raindrops tap, tap the window pane. From her bed, she calls for a moist cloth to cool her forehead. Go outside, she whispers. Put some rainwater on it, she says, because her head aches and her heart is so tired. I step into the storm, then bring her a rainwater cool cloth to drape over her brow. That night, I dream she is part of a special project where she leaps into the roiling ocean and a golden retriever rescue dog swims to her, tows her to shore. She is proud of herself, and I am proud of her. Someday, my mother will become rainwater to evaporate and rain down, evaporate and fall over New Mexico mesas. I awake, relieved by clear lapis skies and her solid figure awaiting my damp kiss. And I have one more from the book I already told you about, City of Hey Baby. It's called Matthew. When the second line funeral parade came pulsing down St. Anne Street between leaning Creole cottages and the always open shutters and warm stoops that bordered the steps, when the second line parade worked its way down the road, umbrellas twirled open and dancers high-stepped, uncrossing legs, you sprung out the door, bottle of whiskey in one hand, the other hand holding air as you leapt into the middle of the throbbing cluster of light-stepping mourners. Your white freckled face and orange hair flashed from in the middle of that pack of black suited dancers, and you caught the rhythm in your thin body. Once, after hearing that you had stopped eating, depressed and drunk in that apartment, I went and picked you up in my truck, brought you to my house for spaghetti. For 2 days, we talked and walked the streets at all hours, and I naively thought I could keep you from the drinks. But you soon broke into the bottles. I didn't remember I even had liquor that lined dark cupboards. Finally, I agreed to bring you back home. Years later, you moved to Galveston to be near ocean, sand, heat. When you called often to tell me all was well, I knew you were lying. Between jobs, between boyfriends, and alcohol slurred your words. When you did not call, I believed you were busy, waiting tables, partying, safe in some man's private home. When did life become too heavy? Frustration of never satisfied body, a heart never whole. You had to prove what you always believed. Let your unlovable self fall into the forever sleep. They threw your ashes into the ocean, and dust danced in the rhythms of the winds, in the mystical rush of the waves, the musical rush of the waves, your spirit still stepping and jazzing upon the salty breeze. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice, for those wonderful, beautiful words, as always.
Bruce, Nikki is here, so we can.
Okay, well then let's bring Nikki on board. Nikki, you with us?
Hi.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you for joining us this evening. Are you ready to present?
Sure.
Okay, the floor is yours.
You've been with me there. You've been there for me since the beginning. Your touch has always been warm, spreading from my fingertips to my core. Our mornings together are my favorite. Sometimes you leave for a few days, but I know you'll be back. Our goodbyes are always orchestrated in the most beautiful ways. I remember climbing trees as a kid trying to catch you. You always did make my mud pies. On those long drives across country, you were my most welcomed sight. In all my most special memories, you bathed me in magic. You're the most consistent thing in my life. Always patient, always on time, never failing. You bring the happiness, you bring life, and you'll be with me till the end of mine. I close my eyes, I feel your warmth, and I think, hello, old friend, the sun. This one is called Pieces. 50 pieces in total, sprawled out on Grandma's floor. Each one has a spot. It's up to me to figure out. 25 pieces left. Vanilla ice cream with Hershey syrup in hand. Grandma never did let me pour the chocolate myself. Slurping every drop, stains dripping onto my school uniform. 10 pieces left. I'm on a mission. I think to myself how one day I'll visit all 50 states. There, last piece in its place. The vintage 1968 puzzle of the United States hangs on my wall, a puzzle I've made countless times as a child. It's custom framed, a gift you gave me 2 years ago. I think about how much has changed since then. It's staring at me now. One piece is upside down, mistakenly placed so, immortalized in its state, kind of like the words you spoke this week that tore me into pieces. Okay, this one's called Weight. The weight of your words, the hurt you've done, I'm so heavy. The distance grows between us. Can't you see this burden? I should be weightless. Can't you just let it go? I asked you to, but you just threw me boulders. You called it a life raft, but it was an illusion. In the end, you blamed me for drowning and called it a rescue attempt. This one is called 10-7-20. In a year filled with ups and downs, ours was filled with ups. 24 hours changed everything. Delta on the way, crashing any pre-planned notions we had. Email from our justice. Double booked, can't make it. Last minute text and call, wondering what to do. Woke up to October 7th, a beautiful Wednesday, playing it cool, waiting for 6 o'clock. Got off work, slipped on my little blue dress, took a stroll, and said I do. It was a day filled with ups and downs, and forever with you never was easier. And the last one is called Killers in the Night. Killers in the night, 32 shots fired. It only took 6. 1 year has passed, and still these killers roam. Say her name with me, Breonna Taylor, murdered in her sleep. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Nikki. And I want to mention that, Nikki, this is your first time and with Pieces of Hope, correct? Thank you so much for being a part of it. I see that you're an English teacher and that you're planning on moving to Chattanooga this summer. And I hope you stay with us because we've had, this is virtual. So we do this every month. So I hope you stay with us. And I'm right down the road from Chattanooga, not far. So come to where I live and say, hey. So thank you again, Nikki.
Okay, thanks for being supportive.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you.
Yeah, I was really nervous. So thanks for the
you did a great job. Really appreciate it.
Everybody on this Zoom is going to come visit you, Bruce, all at the same time.
I know. Well, that's great. We'll have a party. We'll all wear masks, though, and social distance. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Teresia Lestraps, are you with us, Teresia?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Well, we would love to hear what you have to offer us this evening.
Okay, so I have this one piece. It's called
Okay, Teresa, I don't mean to barge in, but your audio is going in and out.
Our Lost Soul. I stood outside in the cold. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We weren't hearing. Your audio is going in and out.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good now. So you can continue.
Okay, I'll start over.
All right.
Attention whore or lost soul. I stood outside in the cold, bare and bold, with my head up, chest out. Some people may think it's brave, but others will shout to the sky. This soul needs to be saved. Maybe I do. Not because I stand nude, but the fact that I want the bleak weather to freeze the anger I have in me forever. Not seeking attention or being rude. Crudeness is one of the ways to be mentioned. Okay, I have one more. It's called I Am a Woman. Wise with every year I gain, open up about my wounds so I can heal from the pain. My strength is phenomenal, and yet my essence is soft. Neutral understanding, no need to raise my voice, standing on all 10 with every choice. I am a woman. My black coarse hair, worn nappy. I'm a woman. I shake my dreads happily. I am a woman. My dark brown eyes cry rivers of tears. I'm a woman. The path to my soul is sparkling. I am a woman. My lips sweet as dragon fruit. Slang, but I'm a woman. I am a woman. My breasts sometimes like Hershey Kiss. I am a woman. I get topless to take in the free feeling energy. I am a woman. My Southern belle, real selective and welcoming to whom I give it. I am a woman. I am a woman. With hips that curves into my thighs, I'm a woman. Not only am I a woman, I am one of the givers of life. I am a child of God. I am a daughter, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, a niece, a friend. But I am my own woman. That is it.
Thank you, Teresa, those beautiful words. Thank you so much. And we did get the audio after a while, so thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us and being a part of our program this evening. Okay, moving on, we have a new artist performer to our fold here at Pieces of Hope. Maya G. Wolf, you with us?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Maya.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can definitely hear you, and we can also see you, which is really nice as well.
Hey,
so whenever you're ready, Maya, take it away.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I came to the last open mic and I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to be sharing my work as well. So I'm going to be reading some poetry from my self-published book that will be coming out in June called Whispers of a Loud Soul. Okay, so the first poem I will be reading is called Make Them Proud. I stare at myself and see the little girl and the woman in me staring back. The little girl can move mountains. She is fearless and creative. The woman is always one step ahead, moving with ease as I try to keep up. They both want me to light the fire that burns within me. Can I be what they want me to be? How do I surrender to a soul so unpredictably free, kind yet fierce, gently untamed, light and stone? Okay. This next poem is called Layers. We wear the clothes of our elders, our families and friends, holding on to pieces of shoulds and woulds as if they are meant to be ours. Masks and heavy jewelry, nearly burdensome, draping us in outdated beliefs. A collection of who do you want me to be rather than who am I? We forget where we come from. It is time to stop playing the part. It is time to stop pretending to be who we are not. For we are children of the moon and stars, and our light begs to shine through the darkness that is not ours. Okay, and this next poem is called We Are One. When we go outside, we casually see the difference of every flower, bee, and tree. Trunk of an oak scarred by a storm, mountains cracked and aged, delicately worn. We look into a mirror or scroll through our feed. Our differences turn into you versus me, immediately turned off if we are not perfectly thin, divided by our weight and the color of our skin. Every tree a different size, every flower a different color. The beauty of Mother Earth we can find within each other. Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and read a short story that will also be in my book. This short story kind of represents the way I felt when I stepped into myself as a woman. So I'm going to go ahead and read that one. When I finally crawled onto the path my heart always longed to follow, the earth stood still. The trees held their breath and the birds stopped their song, witnessing me discover the road that had been beckoning me for so long. Praying I would not run away out of fear, praying I would stay despite my uncertainty. The sleeves of my white dress fell below my shoulders as I stooped towards the ground. I did not notice. because for the first time in a while, I could feel the hum of the earth beneath my body. I felt natural, and I knew this is where I was meant to be. This was an initiation, a ceremony of the mind and body and spirit. Drums beat in the distance. Angels played their bells in excitement. The leaves began to glow, and the path set fire. I knew it was time to run. My feet kicked up dirt. I moved so fast, my white dress peeled away like snakeskin. My tears glimmered, signaling the forest that I had finally arrived. My long hair was now a mane, the tiger stripes on my hips deeply engraved, showing my strength. I howled with the wolves that ran alongside me. The wind whipped the trees and the thunder cheered me on. Finally, I fell to my knees and let the grass take the rest of me. I was new. A single flower bloomed. There was no more path before me. My direction was for me to decide. So I closed my eyes and let the whispers of my loud soul be my guide. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Maya G. Wolf.
Thank you.
Presenting for the first time. And Maya G. Wolf, I hope that you definitely join us in the future. Your beautiful words.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being a part of tonight's event.
Thank you
Really
for having me. Yeah.
You're entirely welcome. So moving on, one of our faves, always with us every month, Charles Claudel Garrett the First. And I can see him right here. Hey, Charles.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, buddy. What you got for us tonight?
I'm coming through all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I'm going to try to read some new stuff, and I'm going to read some old stuff. The first one I'm going to start with is Under Sweat Sheets. The morning rise has become an afternoon storm of ghost cloud grays and whites, smothering light dancing. Somewhere else, poetry has become you, my milk, and sugar, coffee-made mornings, misshaping raindrops into gray moons over creation. There's love kind, and then there's you. A time towards 7 moments of history made simple. It's what love can do to fools and what fools will do to love. The cascaded pinks and blues across the earth's sky iris, dance of clouds speckle and rising light towards the wandering mind, the color of science that blends our hues, the way hues do when casting light on the soul. And the next one, this will be one that I've read before, but I'll go ahead and read it again. I remember that we brought both booze and drugs. I remember that we brought both booze and drugs. It's what we did in the humid Louisiana heat, cloud casting shadows of slowness and warm winds. Here we were welcomed. We were noticed by only the sky. No myopic eyes frozen to see human prescription dispensed from the pharmacy of culture. We are Louisiana, home known with sense of swamp degradation painted by partisan couth, gelatinous funk air, classic cars, warm heat hoods, throughout the brown streets, chain pits, both for eating and guarding broke down car yards, on Sunday and every day after, daisy lazing along with everything else black on Sunday, Monday approaching storm's notice, we will still be black on Monday, we will still be black. You want us to take you in, you're looking at me kind of funny. You got drug charges, don't you, boy? Black until the rains make that thin blue line a watermark for change. Black until the concrete becomes a crisp mirror reflecting and refracting light from. Black until the words that came after the hiss before the bricks became grenades, flying hugs and not flying handshakes. Black until... And the next one will be... So this one's about the Cardinal, which is a poetry altar that he comes and visits and delivers me poems from time to time. So I took some time and, he visited me today. So the poem's called The Cardinal Visited Me Today. He told me everything is going to be all right, that as sure as the sun is shining, the fire will boil, and Mississippi mud made for cleansing the spirit, not for swimming, fade the rain. The devil hardly speaks, They call us snakes here in Louisiana. Cutthroat mock shoe, mulberry fine dining for purple hues, purple smoke, the white death, they say. If you follow the tracks of the long arm of the swamp, you will find where the devil sleeps. Voodoo vindicate, incident, a maybe, dreadwater, serpentine. There's no gumbo for coroners, only the cold. And I believe the last one that I will read is the heat will come, the cold don't matter. I pass by streets that will never know my name, history frozen in the airy cool of dawn, my morning jog, my palm sweats confusing the senses, the fallen leaves, laden lack of fluid shade, the ground like dirt diseased snow, the gravity of winter. My lungs refuse to expel the splintering sound of air escaping a tapered hose. Just yesterday, a friend told me his mother is going to die from the black grip on her lungs. I took another deep breath just to be sure. The street whites of life traveled by bus routes and traffic jams during the Monday rush, transporting neglected children to school, children that don't belong, children damaged under the weight of a fretful sun, jaywalking daydreamers trapped on tiny islands, studying to become doctors, lawyers, mothers, and junkies. But the bus stops, they are always full. Children will grow and the heat will rise and shadow sunflowers in the middle of May. The hydrants will spray and tell the city to cool, until the police kill. Stateside executioners numbing over pensions until children kill, trading in future and promise for a blood veil of something real until the pigeons race underneath the overpass of colored folk tracing street corners with chalk stolen from forensics, until even the sun gives up and death casts a shadow over the city. Thank you, guys.
As always, thank you, Charles. I love your words. I get so much meaning out of what you have to offer us. Thank you so much for always being there and being a part of what we do here at Festival Words each month. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Beautiful words. Up next, Liz. Liz, you with us? Liz Burke. Liz, you still with us? Martha, did she say she would?
She's muted.
Okay, Liz. There she is. All right, Liz.
How many times I do this? I always forget to unmute. Okay.
Okay, take it away, Liz.
Great to see everybody, because we've all been so cloistered. I am going to read a poem. This is for my sister. She's been quite ill, and it's brought up a lot of issues for me. So it's called Gardening in the Dark. I'm gardening on my deck, reaping comfort from my blossoming pots, purple ginger, yellow marigolds, pink begonias. Mornings, I break off brittle leaves and snip off flowers rusted round the edges, fasten the flower bodies in my hair. Afternoons, I poke a finger into each pot, pour them a drink of rainwater, watch the wilted petals unfurl. I peer into each flower's fuzzy center, examine each new bud about to open, as if searching for God. Will essence of flower yield a message? Where to meet my sister after she's gone? Where do skeptical souls like ours meet? We've lived as proud heretics, no rabbis, no priests to guide us, no one to tell us where to get off the train as it chugs into the afterlife, like Jews to Treblinka, ashes to ashes, the earth swallows. Do we just disappear into the dark? I wish I could conceive a heavenly architecture, but is it too late? I dreamt once that a winged creature, an angel maybe, led us to a train. My sister and I got on. At the first stop, our parents stood on the platform, their bodies braided together in death, tilted towards the tracks. How did they know we were coming? I'll visit my sister tomorrow. We'll meet in her backyard, sunlight cleaving her flower garden, where she rests weary on a white wicker chair, waiting. And I'm going to read another one that is from my last book called Duet, Poet and Photographer. And it's with my photographer husband. I guess it's acrostic. I wrote poems to his photographs. And this one is a dune photograph. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Horizon. This may be a little happier. It seemed as though a window slid open onto a buzzing void, singing songs as fresh as seedlings, sprouting stars as old as dust, in dreams that drifted, lost in a pirogue, dreams that slumbered, remained in dusk until we were born. There was an ember, a reverie debut, a deja vu that continued, and then a sandbox whose grains mingled and chirped, and there were birds and burdens born each instant, reveling in and reviling the muddy earth, grouty mountains, ice that slid from mittens knitted and carefully knotted to not unravel on tiny hands, and lizards and ants and the holy family of step-uncles and cousins who came to celebrate the mournful tide, the oceans sweeping the sand with, was it joy? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. As always, beautiful words. And I've asked Patrice to put do you have you must have a website or a link to where people can take a look at your books, maybe, if they're interested in reading more of your pieces.
Okay.
So if you want to go into the chat room, I'm sure Patrice will put the information in there as well so that people can take a look at your beautiful works. Thank you so much, Liz, for participating tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's the first hour. We're almost into our second hour of the beautiful pieces of hope this evening for this month. So let me just take a few seconds to talk about some business. And if you've joined us before we started about an hour ago, this is Pieces of Hope. It's a virtual open mic that the Festival of Words Arts Collective brings to you, the world, every month. It's the last Wednesday of the month. My name is Bruce Cohen. I'm the current board president of the Festival of Words. And I invite everybody to join us each month. If you want to get any more information about what we are and what we're all about, just go to festivalwords.org. If you would like to help us out, since we are a nonprofit, there is a donation button at the very top, a big red one. Can't miss it. And we appreciate all the donations. We're also looking forward to our festival. Hopefully, we will be able to go live in November. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We're hoping for that. But you can get all the information at our website, festivalwords.org. Also, if you haven't heard me talk about the chat room, please go into the chat room to describe what you're feeling as you're hearing these beautiful words tonight. And also, bios will be in there. You can look at the bios of all the artists that are performing. And I just want to mention that coming up in November, we will be doing our festival. Hopefully, again, we'll be doing live, but if not, we will be doing virtual like we did last year. And this year, we have prize-winning author Amy Nezukumatatil, Cajun musician Louis Michaud from the Lost Bayou Ramblers, and artist, poet Malikia Favorite. They will be part of Festival Words 2021. So please join us for that. And again, you can find out everything that's happening at our website. Also, when the performers do perform tonight, please mute yourself, self-mute, or we will mute you ourselves. So we don't want to hear anything else but the performance this evening. So we're going to continue with Dennis Femento. Dennis, you with us?
I don't think he's here.
All righty. Well, hopefully Dennis will join us in a few minutes if he's not with us, or maybe something came up, he couldn't join us this evening. But Dennis was with us last month, and he's from New Orleans, or NOLA, or New Orleans. So we'll switch over to Denise. Denise is always with us. Denise, you ready to give us some beautiful words?
I am.
All right, whenever you're ready, Denise.
Okay. So this poem is called Memoriam, the Magnolia as an Idea. The magnolia was not an idea yesterday. The earth was littered with leaves, and a few white bowls stood waiting on the branches of the tree. They were open like bows on ladies' hats, silver as my mother's hair. Soon, I think, they'll match my own, and then, like hers, begin to drift away. But first, the storm. So today, the magnolia is an idea. The earth is bathed in sunlight, no more white bowls. The blue jays circle the yard looking for landing places. The few white petals are brown as the sugar atop a creme brulee and the color of my niece's skin. I stand beneath the sky where my magnolia now is an idea, where love is an idea, like justice. Coins in my hands for a parking meter rattle in my pocket. The lone cloud is the color of a robin's egg in the center of a morning glory. I stand in the street puzzling over the heat. I was never a lover of the magnolia's profligate pods, their red tongues mocking my displeasure. But for its leaves, its scent, its generous blooms, I grieve like a mother or a daughter who knew its faults and gifts and promises oh so deeply. Second poem is called Fathers and Children. Our fathers instructed our fickleness. Sunday's patriarch ignored his Saturday Confederates. But pickle jar prisons and cricket cages were occupations they still recognized. And when we would bundle our offerings of stems and grass, leaves and dirt, nothing any firefly would have an interest in, our fathers would make for us terrariums, knife holes peppering mason jar lids, the way in dreams we sometimes did each other's hearts. In the yards and alleyways at dusk, we kids were incandescent with crime. Fathers and uncles, grandfathers and their friends turned their heads as we performed what rites we knew to hide the glowing diadems of misbehavior. They were allies in their fogs of smoke and drink. We were both memory and mirror. Some boys and girls learned the tricks our fathers used to nurse their griefs. Beer and watered whiskey found their way into our cups, and we joined them on the back porch while the baseball game droned on the radio. Fireflies of cigarette tips glowed in the summer nights. We studied our fathers in their reverie to learn anything we could. So much of who they were would always elude us, as it eludes us now. I think of them now mostly in summer when I hear boys in the street walking to who knows where with their pups and skateboards, moving home towards home in the dark. I wonder if I will ever know them, those men who loved us, hurt us, held us, made us. Constant accessories to our most tender gifts and maladies. This short poem is called The Other Woman. When you came home, I never spoke of the cost of your absence. And I never pretended I could not feel her breath spilling out of yours into mine. And then finally, this poem is called Passing the Site of the Old Place on 47. It would have changed anyhow in all the ways our childhood places do. Front yard 20 feet shorter, bedroom 5 feet smaller, the porch once white, now green, or not there at all. For sure, the antlers of the buck my granddad shot would no longer hang above the back door. The living room would be empty of violets and statues of saints I'd learned about in Grandma's lives. Winter afternoons were spent near the wood stove if you wouldn't brave the cold, but you'd have to bear with Grandpa's stinking stogies. But who knows of its fate with people who loved there as we had. There might still be a garden and a tree in the back, never worth climbing. In that little house, my parents tried to hush my fears without success. Late nights, it's clear from my dreams I still have them. Memories will have to do now it's all gone. The house, the garden, the pump house, the porch, dredged up and carted away, or buried beneath the gravel and sand of the county shed. A marmoreal calm settles on me. The house and its occupants turn to stone in my reverence. At night, I hear the creak of the rusted gate that still leads to byways less fragile than the asphalt ones I daily travel upon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. Denise. I was still with Liz. Denise, thank you so much. Your words are always beautiful. And I just want to mention that in the chat room earlier, there was a mention of you that you did an interview with Patrice about her latest release, her latest book.
Yes, indeed, I did. I think I shared the link to it on my art review.
Yes. So everybody just go scroll to the chat room where you see the Mocking Heart review, that the interview that Denise did with Patrice. And I read it. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Denise. I really appreciate it. We always, as always, appreciate your words. Thank you so much. All right. Just a couple of things I want to mention. We're probably going to have some open air time tonight after all of our scheduled performers are finished. So if you want to participate, or if you've already performed and you have another piece you want to read for us, just in the chat room, let Martha know, and then she'll let me know, right, Martha? Yes, shake your head, yes. And she'll let me know, and then I can introduce you, because it looks like we're going to have some open mic time tonight. All right, so moving on, we have Jonathan Klein, who is new to the Pieces of Hope. Jonathan, you with us?
Yes, he needs to unmute.
Yeah, Jonathan, you need to, we can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. All right, Jonathan.
There it is.
There you are. How you doing, my man?
Good as can be.
Excellent.
Really enjoying the poetry tonight.
And you're coming from New Orleans? Is that true?
I'm coming from New Orleans.
All right, excellent. Well, whenever you're ready, Jonathan, we'd love to hear your words.
All right. So the first poem I'm going to read for you is called 15 Years After the Federal Flood. It's not an odor, but the ghost of odors past on Christmas Day in Lakeview. Lawns are sodded, streets are paved, and inflatable Santas are waving hello. In the months after Katrina put a flounder on Mama's roof, in house after house, I took a crowbar to the nebulas of mold where every important thing was a pile of shit. If I had one scrap I could pin down to a page and call it cake, I'd pick a turtle head, that one that lives under the park, one that lives under the bridge in City Park. You see, Gina has it all figured out. Her ashes will live under the wind chimes, and her soul, having grown weary of heaven, will come back to New Orleans to haunt the perfume of sweet olive. Not me. I've got it easy. This zombie town's got nothing on me. If I had $1 for everything the city's given me, I'd be living in a fat red house wearing hot pink shoes. But if I could teach my knees to listen, I'd tell them the water won't drown the roots, even if the levee breaks again. And so I teach art in the public schools. And this is a poem called Public School. Public school. Poor pleasure is my girl, that filthy little chestnut, wild as a spaghetti stain, bobbing out of her seat, bouncing, dancing backwards, laughing at the teasing cut she feed her pants. Poor pleasure wears no ribbons. She sings her songs to herself, spinning, ecstatic and smelly in shamanic spirals of rebellion. She needs to be medicated. She needs to be tied to rules and books and test scores. I have a lesson, a plan. I have a bar of soap. I have an end to your teasing, ribbons for your hair. I have a cage to put you in. Stop all this dancing and listen. I have other children, neat as little bridges. Poor pleasure cries all the time, a deep, sobbing wound. She has snot all over her face, and I am frightened of her disease. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, and also being new to our event each month, Piece of Hope. We welcome you. Thank you so much for being a part of it, and we hope that you come back next month and you stay with us. Some really interesting words. Absolutely. Thank you again, Jonathan. Up next, Suzanne Wiltz. Suzanne, are you with us?
Hello. Yes, I'm here, everyone.
Okay. Hey, Suzanne.
Yes. Okay. So my name is pronounced Suzanne. So
Suzanne, I knew that.
That's okay.
I knew that. I said it right last month.
You did. Okay, everyone, I'm really enjoying the poetry. It's so beautiful, and I'm so jealous of so many things that I've heard. I'm going to read 3 poems for you tonight. They range from very old, not so old, and brand new. However, I feel like they're on the same emotional trajectory. So I shall begin. First, can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The camera inside of my laptop doesn't function well, so I see something different than what you see. Okay. So the first poem, this is a very, very early poem, one of my first published poems. And you may hear echoes of it later on. I'm always fascinated how, you dip the dipper into the well of creativity, and sometimes you bring up the same coins that you brought up before. So this one is called Sketching John. Sketching John. From afar, I cannot dream of Bucharest and excavate untold tales from your eyes. I cannot pour the milk from taciturn sighs into Cafe Lungo and meditate on your golden cross. Sketching you is a task suited for a master. I am a novice, too unskilled to hold the pencil and too fascinated to draw less than a weary angel. So that was the first poem. Okay, my second poem is called Jeremiad for My Fourth Love. And for those who may not be familiar with the term, Jeremiad is an eponym based on the prophet Jeremiah, and how his book in the Bible is known for laments. So Jeremiad for my fourth love. 1. The presence of your absence wakes me. When I reach for you, I touch only pillows or cats. Neither you nor your predecessors are here. And every time we are together, my real love plays pretend, as if you don't wear the crown of my heart. 2. Let's abscond to Jerusalem and call it a trip, where I can stuff this poem into the wailing wall and blame my tears on griefs other than my unanswered love. In Jerusalem, you can teach me Hebrew, making your words doubly sacred to me and your mouth twice as holy. In Jerusalem, sackcloth and ashes will fit me, as well as a crown of thorns, of love offered and denied 4 times. Why have you forsaken me again? So that was Jeremiah for my 4th love. And finally, the 3rd poem I selected to read for y'all tonight is brand new. I don't know what will happen with it. The first draft was very scant and it's now ballooned, and we'll see what happens with it. But this is what I have thus far. And I have to say that I was inspired by tonight's deadline to keep tinkering with it. This one is called Not at the Book Fair Today. I already have an enviable library in my home, with shelves groaning under the weight of unmet desires. Unopened volumes with pristine spines, uncaressed pages, unknown beginnings and endings. Dust motes linger on untouched tomes and scatter when their well-worn companions travel with me and through me. Through my head and my heart, where so many words swim in magical seas and take wing on the backs of dragons and pierce with the blades of ensorcelled swords. Yet all that magic cannot conjure you from the pages of numerous notebooks in which I've written your name in a litany of longing, with hands too unskilled to draw you, a mouth too meek to kiss you, a mind too confounded to pray these prayers for you, O distant and silent saint. In truth, I'm tired of all these books. I long to lay them down, pull you close, and start our own story under the covers. So I am not at the book fair today with other hapless and harried pilgrims, perusing the pages of someone else's suggestions to summon our deep and desperate desires. Who else can plot the course by which I can set sail from myself to your formidable shoreline? Why waste time with others' words when I only want to let you inside? And that was my final selection. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Yes.
I did say it right last month, but
no worries, Bruce. No worries.
Suzanne, thank you so much. Your words are always really beautiful. I really appreciate you again being a part of us tonight. So thank you again. Okay, well, up next, Gina Ferrara from New Orleans. Gina, I know you're there, so whenever you're ready, take it away.
Great. All right. Great to hear everybody tonight and to be here. So I have 3 poems that I'm going to read, and these are all pretty new. This is called On Seeing 5 Crows. A sky unstirred, the steadiest without comparison. unequivocal, cerulean, nothing deepens or fades with distance. Close to the chimney, the crows take flight with identical urgency as famous ones painted, ominous, furrows, winged onyx impulses recognized, like these, ready to pluck orbs, figs, locats and olives, pecans, shells soft, stemmed, still months from being ripe. So in our backyard, I only wish that you could see this. We have this tremendous beehive. And the beehive, actually, if you look at it from a distance, when the sun hits it the right way, it actually looks like a tapestry. And so that was kind of the inspiration for this. It's called Woven. With each conversation and passing day, the selvage unravels, taking the self in singular and pluralized form. You've watched the moon, how it reminded you of a silent harp, waiting for a seraph strum in anticipation, the genesis of intricacies, village scenes, hunts, foliage, apocalypses, droughts, miraculous drafts of fish, mythical creatures and life on nebulas, sprawling, sometimes succinct narratives made by blunt needles, ready eyes open, followed by the distance of a strand and turning the skein, the warp and weft of parallels, silken convergences, umber, golden, persimmon, and onyx, threads and shades of skin. And then my last poem is called Tide. Bending without sway or grace of a willow, I am on my knees now, supplicant, tying my father's shoes, an act of penance and admission that he is past 80, and we are bound as abled and unable. So I tug on the crisscross overlap just above the tongue, lodged thick with silent substance, almost tufted, a leather cathedral, supple Oxford flesh over flesh and bones, demonstrating what he taught once about loops and wraps, the symmetry of length, pulling taut to a place of lost plurality, then joined in one knot to stop separation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. We really appreciate your words, as always. Thank you so much. Before we move into our last scheduled performer, I just want you to know that we usually are blocked for 2 hours. And so we'll have about a half an hour of open mic. If anybody who has performed or hasn't performed wants to read another 1 or 2 pieces, you're more than welcome. Just let Martha know. She'll let me know, and then I can reintroduce you or introduce you if you haven't already performed this evening. So now's the time to do that, because coming up is our bookend, the last poet of the night scheduled, Mr. Toby. Take it away, Toby!
Thank you, Bruce, and everyone. And I might try to get through this with Jake in my arms, because he has been lulled in by the wonderful words tonight, and he's been paying attention. So let's see how this works. I do want to thank Festival of Words, Pieces of Hope, everything that happens with this. I didn't realize we're on a year now of these readings and pandemic. There's a Raymond Carver poem that it took me a while to find, but I knew the line. The poem is called An Account, and he talks about he'd been away for months. He hadn't even read a poem in months. What kind of life was this? A life where a man was too busy even to read poems, no life at all. And a lot of you know I've taken a new job. responsibilities have become really intense under the pandemic, but this really is a place of hope, and just it restores me every month. So thank you all. I have 3 relatively short poems I want to read. Don't recall reading any of them before, but it's possible. There are no titles to them. The fog gathered on the bayou earlier than usual tonight, enough for everyone to comment on it on the drive back to my folks' house. In a few hours, it will suffocate everything, making driving on instinct the only possibility, forcing hands to grip even tighter. Sometimes there are languages hidden where our eyes can't see, where our senses deceive us into thinking that we can't fathom what is right in front of us. The fog will eventually burn off mid-morning. Everything that was cloaked will then be visible, will reappear, even though it was never gone, only shrouded in temporary phenomena meant to wither. Okay, you like that? You say your dad didn't fight like you expected him to, accepted his fate and died peacefully. My grandmother did something similar 23 years ago, sparse-tongued matriarch, refusing to become a burden. Last night, we raised a glass or two to the past, to all the times that our fathers were there with us, for us, and all the times we cursed them. Our friend, who took a late flight just to make the funeral, found his dad dead over 30 years ago. He had shot himself just a month after his wife, 39 years old, died of cancer. 3 months later, he buried his brother, single car accident, probable suicide too. Of course, watching my mom and sister comfort your mom and siblings brought everything back with my own brother in a life before I even knew you. Of course, we wondered silently how things would be different, if only. We sat last night in the same pool hall where we watched each other grow older. We said we were going to shoot pool like we did 30 years ago, but we didn't. We sat instead, watched the baseball game on the big screen a bit, still counted ourselves lucky. And when I woke this morning, I discovered I had unknowingly stuck my right foot out from under the covers. Just like you, Dad, just like you've always done. Even before this life of feeding tubes, of heart monitors, of catheters, of dialysis, of breathing treatments, speech therapy, of blood work, of diapers, even now, no matter what nurse or child of yours or wife of 67 years tries to tuck it under the sheets, the blankets, it always finds its way out. I learned that from you. Like so many things, I'll never even know I know. Thank you.
Toby, thank you as always. Toby has been an incredible supporter of the Festival of Words for many, many years. We appreciate your support, Toby. We appreciate the programs that you run, appreciate the work you do with the high school and middle school students. And sometimes they join us and they're incredibly talented, and appreciate everything you do for the community of Lafayette in terms of the literary movement that we have going on in that area. Thank you so much for everything, as always. Really, really nice work. Before we do have somebody who wants to, Denise wants to read a short essay, which is fantastic. If anybody else wants to chime in, we have another 29 minutes. So if anybody wants to add anything to tonight's performances, please do. Just let Martha know in the chat room. She'll let me know. But before we get to Denise, I put a link in there. Like yourselves, all of you, we're all artists of different senses, and I'm an artist as an actor. And I put a link in there to my latest film project that I did filmed in Lafayette. It's about 29, 30 minutes. If you get a chance, scroll up that chat room page and look at the link and click on it. and see the work that I do as an actor. And that's how I can contribute to the artistic community here. So I appreciate you if you do view it, appreciate that very much. So we're gonna go back to Denise. Denise, you ready to join us again?
I am. I'm here.
All right.
And I'm unmuted. I just checked. Anyway, this is, I was trying to decide tonight between risking this, reading this essay or reading my poems. And so then I picked my poems. So this gives me an opportunity to do both. So this is called First Dog and Other Pets. Right away, I can see this is a mistake because there was no first dog. There was an only dog, and her name was Muffins. When I was 4, my family had Muffins. She was a mutt. My mom named her. It's still a cute name, and I don't know why my mom named her that. Maybe the dog liked Muffins. I know she was a bitch because that's why we got rid of her. Muffins got pregnant, so it was the pound for Muffins because my mom did not have money to feed Muffins and a bunch of puppies and 4 small children. When I even think of this, it hurts. When we put Muffins in the car, we didn't realize she wasn't coming back. It must have hurt my mom to do this. She was a steely woman in some ways, but not that steely. She did what she had to do. I remember Muffins as an incredibly tolerant dog. I almost wrote talented, but only because it was a talent to put up with our treatment. We had wooden floors in our house, and so I'd grab Muffins' tail and she would pull us around the room. At least I think she did. I hate to even think about Muffins sometimes. I'm 60 and it still hurts to see her being put in the car to be taken to the pound. Maybe she wasn't euthanized. Maybe someone saw what a good dog she was and took her. Maybe they took her puppies and raised them. But I tend to think in worst case scenarios, so it's hard to believe this. It's hard to think well of my mother. I understand the dilemma, but I still think of my first dog like I was a child, and I know how my mother was. My dad likes dogs, and later, after I left for college, somehow they ended up with a stray dog that they named Beans. He was part German Shepherd and part mutt. He was a big black dog my father loved. I was always wary of him, like I was wary of my dad. Beans grew older alongside my dad, and when they would go out walking together, both Beans and my dad tended to talk as they walked. Beans would grumble in his way as my dad walked the streets and grumbled his way. My mom said they were two men growing old together. One day, Beans was gone like Muffins. I wonder if my dad thought about how we kids had felt about Muffins' disappearance. Beans had gotten out of the yard and walked off, probably to die. This is what my mother thought. My dad was less certain. For weeks, he tried to find him. He'd look at empty, tall, grassy lots and around the dilapidated houses in their neighborhood. I worried someone had stolen Beans for fighting, but Beans was too old to fight. I hope he was too old to fight. My mom thought Beans just left to save my dad the burden of having to put him to sleep. I don't know. I sometimes still dream of my dad wandering the neighborhood searching for his old dog. We had a cat once, Bee, who we called the Bee, and my mother said no more pets when she had to put Bee to sleep. But 12 years ago, my father talked her into taking one of the puppies from a litter of my brother's hunting dogs. They named her Dot for the black dot on her forehead. My sister Pat called Dottie Sister. Dottie is my parents' good child in their old age, though of course she isn't always good. She pulls the trash out of the trash can if they're gone too long. She eats used tissues. You can't leave a pair of pants on the floor anywhere she can get at them because she will tear out the crotch. My mother warned me about that particular threat after she had done this to a pair of rather expensive pajamas of mine. And I remembered that warning when I found she'd done the same thing to a pair of my jeans. But for all her badnesses, my mom lets Dot sleep in the bed with her. Dottie snores, loud. But my mom, who wanted no more pets, shares her bed with Dottie. One day I said, Dottie has such speaking eyes. Don't you wish she could talk? My mom said, no, she gets enough of what she wants without speaking a word. I hate to think of what she would get if she could talk. She'd never leave me alone. Every afternoon, she lets my dad know what she wants when she wants to eat, and when she wants a treat, and when she wants a walk. She rules the house. On the other hand, she keeps him active. He needs that since he's 86 years old and has macular degeneration. He has a lot of excuses just to sit in the chair or lie in bed and snooze while he's listening to books on tape. Dottie is old now, but she has a lot of fire and determination in her. I pray each year that she hangs on, and I pray each year that he carries on. I don't want her to die before him because it will hurt him fiercely. And I don't want him to go before her because I don't want her wondering where he's gone like she did when he was in the hospital after acquiring Guillain-Barré syndrome a couple of years ago. So do I wish they would go out together? Is that a bad thing to wish for? Loving a dog means accepting loss, just as loving a cat, or as I've discovered recently, just loving a little lovebird named Casey. Casey died a couple of months ago, and my husband still grieves him. It's not just the animal, it's the stories and experiences we have with them and with each other when we love them. Just like the experience I had with Muffin so long ago. They are fleeting days, our days with our pets. And their connections to our lives mean we are never really ready to say goodbye, nor can we ever really say goodbye. In a corner of our lives, they're still like muffins, waiting in the dog pound for me to collect her and bring her home again. All of her puppies tagging behind. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's, we've all of us have dealt with loss, especially in the last year. It's hard, but we're all in this together, and we prove it every month. We come together in this wonderful event called Pieces of Hope. So I hope, and I know everybody out there who's performed this evening or just listened has that hopeful feeling that we'll get through this together and everything will eventually be okay. And thank you so much for sharing, Denise. It's very important that we share, and we share our love with each other. Every day, go out and share your love. So we have a little bit of time left. If anybody else has anything they want to offer, especially our newbies, if Amaya is still with us or Nikki is still with us and you have one other piece or a couple of pieces you'd like to share with us, now would be the time. If not, we can wrap it up here. Just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity. Martha, do you have anything to contribute to us this evening? No? You're always writing. You don't have anything to share.
I don't have anything tonight, but next month, my sister and I are going to do a reading together.
Ah, that will be wonderful. Something to look forward to, something to be hopeful for. Yay. That's going to be fantastic, Martha. Can't wait to see that and listen to that. I love dual readings myself. Okay, guys and gals, I guess we'll just we'll end a little bit early this evening. Thank you for being a part of Pieces of Hope. Our Festival Words are collective annual or monthly virtual open mic. It's been monthly, and we've been doing it for almost a year now. So thank you so much again. Keep in tune with us by going to festivalwords.org, we're a nonprofit, so we appreciate any kind of donation you'd like to give. If that's something you want to do, this big red donate button on our homepage, and also we'll find out about upcoming events. The next Pieces of Hope will be the last Wednesday in May, which is, Martha, do you have that date?
May 26th. I just looked it up.
Oh,
Thank you, Patrice.
I don't have my calendar in front of me.
So May 26th will be the next Pieces of Hope. And my son, that some of you know from who lives in Los Angeles, Joshua, will be with us. He writes a little bit, so he might be a part of the festivities next month with me.
It'll be a family affair in May, right?
It'll be a family affair. Yes, definitely a family affair. So again, I clap my hands. I tip my hat. I throw kisses to all of you performers. Thank you so much for being a part and sharing your words, your expression, your heart, your soul with us. We really appreciate it. This is a challenging time. So this is fantastic that we're able to do this every month. So again, I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you love, and stay healthy, and hope everybody's vaccinated. So unless anybody else has anything to say, Martha, Patrice?
Nope, I think you've said it all, Bruce.
Any words of wisdom from Bruce? No?
To Denise Rogers, I was very moved by her piece. I really was.
Yeah, we all were. Absolutely. Any words of wisdom from Patrice? Denise, it was just incredible that you were able to share that with us. Thank you so much.
Well,
Patrice, you have any words of wisdom? Why is your bookcase have nothing in it?
Because somebody built me a brand new bookcase, so that he's still working on it, but it won't look quite as crazy in my background. But
because I'm so used to like the background being like full of stuff, like books and folders and all kinds of stuff, and like really nice. And I don't feel that. I'm glad that you're there, but I miss all the other stuff.
It's a better bookshelf. There'll be better places to organize everything, but thank you for noticing.
Great. Well, I definitely noticed it. So anybody else? Jory, I see that you're with us. Do you have any words of wisdom you want to impart?
Not now.
No words of wisdom, but thank you, everyone. And it's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, Jory helped us out this evening, as she always does every month, with making sure that we were on Facebook Live. So thanks so much, Jory, out there in Seattle land. So I'm going to pass the baton over to anybody else who has anything else to say. If not,
good night. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
We do. Good night, everybody. Stay well. Love you.
Bye.